Good morning. The last class we discussed principal clay minerals, namely kyanite, montmorillonite and hillite. There we discussed the various atoms which are held responsible for the formation of those minerals. The bond formed in those minerals are, in kyanite, the unit of kyanite thickness is about 7.2 angstrom unit, and there develops the hydrogen bond, and the unit thickness of montmorillonite clay mineral is about 9.6 angstrom unit, and the successive layers together will bond by means of hydrogen water bond. And in case of hillite, between successive silica acids they develop a fixed potassium bond. The thickness of each unit is 10 angstrom unit. That is about principal clay minerals, and for that we have taken basis as the main building blocks, tetrahedral unit and octahedral units to form a silica sheet, gibbsite or brucite sheets respectively. Now let us take some more topics related to clay mineralogy. The topics which we are going to discuss are more of soil chemistry in nature. So, by restricting our explanation, let us learn the basic concept of these terminologies. The first one of that kind is valence bonds. Valence bonds are generally electrically charged bonds. The chemical elements for the rock or clay forming minerals composed of atoms. Atoms unites together will form molecules. Molecules with other molecules will build the structure. The forces responsible for binding these the molecules are basically electrically charged one, and these electrically charged forces are known as valence bonds. Valence bonds are of two types, namely primary valence bond and secondary valence bonds. In primary valence bonds, atoms join with other atom. There the replacement of electronics takes place by means of addition or losing electrons, and the bond will develop at the primary level itself. Hence, the primary bonds are considered as stronger bonds. On the other hand, secondary valence bonds are those that develops based on secondary elements, atoms and molecules. Secondary valence bonds are further grouped into van der Waals, and hydrogen bonds. Van der Waals and hydrogen bond. Here in case of van der Waals, attraction exists between the oppositely charged particles. As a result, there is a formation of bond. And in case of hydrogen bonds, hydrogen atoms interact with the oxygen or hydroxyl of the clay mineral and form the bond, means there exerts the binding forces. These secondary bonds are relatively weak bonds compared to the valence the primary valence bonds. So, this is about the valence bonds. Another terminology which we come across is isomorphic substitution. In general, in clay mineral structure, metallic ion of one kind may be substituted by the other metallic ion of lower valency, but same size, physical size. Metallic ion of one kind may be substituted by other metallic ion of same lower valency, but of same physical size. See, such a substitution is known as isomorphic substitution. In a clay mineral structure, metallic ion of one kind may be substituted by the other metallic ion of lower valency, but of the same physical size. Such a substitution is known as isomorphic substitution. And this isomorphic substitution may lead to different clay mineral of different physical properties. Example for that is, as we already discussed, that in case of inlaid clay mineral, silicon atoms in tetrahedral sheets are always replaced by aluminum atoms. By replacing the silicons by aluminum atoms, they develop the fixed potassium bond. So, this process is known as isomorphic substitution, wherein in the clay the substituting minerals should be readily present, means to replace silicon atoms, aluminum atoms are readily available. So, replacement of metallic ions by the alternative one is known as isomorphic substitution. The next term which you come across is soil water system. Fine grained soils, particularly clay soils, are normally associated with the water, and their physical properties are considerably influenced in the presence of water. It is known that already we have discussed that fine grained soils are ability to interact with water, and they have more affinity towards water, or they are normally associated with the water, and their physical properties, particularly we have discussed in case of consistency, the consistency that fine grained soils behave differently in the presence of water. Physical property it normally depends upon the water. This behavior is contradictory, or this behavior is different in coarse grained soil. Coarse grained soil are less affinity towards the water. Hence, sands, even the coarse silt will not interact much with the water. Higher the specific surface in the clay soil indicates the more number of atoms and molecules involved in the formation of particles. Hence, finer the soil, more will be the particles, and hence there is a more specific surface and a perfect soil water system. More the particle size, more will be the specific surface area, and the interaction with the water is more, hence there is a perfect soil water system. So, this is about soil water system. Next is adsorbed water. Before that, let us take base exchange capacity. It is base exchange capacity. The ability of clay particles to absorb ions at their surface or edges is known as its base exchange capacity or ion exchange capacity. Ability of clay particles to absorb ions at their or on their edges and faces is known as exchange capacity. As we know that clay platelets or clay, if you consider it as a prism or column, possess negatively charged on the surface and positively charged edges. So, ability of those clay platelets to absorb ions at their edges and the faces or surface is known as exchange capacity or base exchange capacity of that clay. And this is the function of clay mineral structure. The positive or cations present in water will be absorbed by the clay particles on their surfaces to neutralize the charge deficiency. Every clay particles will have different charge efficiency, and hence the ability of absorbing water by different clay minerals or clay particles depends upon their charge deficiency, and the exchange capacity varied depends upon the clay minerals. So, ion exchange capacity of clay depends upon the type of clay mineral present in the particular clay. Accordingly, clay particle will absorb cations from water. So, this is about the base exchange capacity. Next is adsorbed water. A layer of water surrounded by soil particle in general, in particular fine grained soil, that too a particular clay particles, is known as adsorbed water. Soil will absorb water due to the following three reasons. Firstly, water is a dipole atom. This dipole atom water will be absorbed by clay particles to maintain the charge deficiency and to attain the equilibrium condition. The second reason is hydrogen atom present in water are readily absorbed by the negatively charged faces of the clay particles, and thirdly, cation present in water are readily absorbed by the charge deficient clay minerals to maintain the equilibrium condition after neutralizing charge deficiency. So, like this, because of these three reasons, soil particle will absorb waters all around its surface of the particle. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಇದನ್ನ. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಅದೇ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. Next important terminology is electrical diffuse double layer. The arrangement of electrical diffuse double layer will be like this. In general, in nature, every soil particles are again surrounded by water, and as we know that water is a dipole atom. As center of the water molecules will not coincide with each other because of this repulsive force, and as we know that it is clay possesses negative charge on their faces and positive charges at the edges. The negatively charged face will absorb the positive pole of the water molecule. Likewise, a systematic arrangement of water layer will take place around the clay particles, and that arrangement will continue till it reaches to the equilibrium condition in terms of the charge deficiency, and that can be represented by means this relation, that is distance from clay particles and concentration of ions. You can see here the concentration already on the face there is a negative charge. To neutralize this negative charge, positive charged water molecules are absorbed by clay particles. Again here, to neutralize this negative charge, they absorb positive pole of the water molecule. Likewise, it continues, and finally it will attain equilibrium condition with neutralization of charge deficiency. In this course, more than one layer of water gets surrounded by a clay particle. This surrounding of water or the surrounding of water or this coverage of water around the clay particles is because of the charges, positive negative charges of the water, and this electrically charged clay particles are neutralized by means of surrounding this water around the particle is known as electrically diffuse double layer. In other words, differently charged clay particles are surrounded by dipole atom water molecules in more than two layers to arrive at an equilibrium condition after neutralizing the charge is known as electrical diffuse double layer. To diffuse the electrical charges on the surface of the clay layer, water layer will cover the clay particles, and this is known as diffused double layer or electrical diffuse double layer. So this is about the clay minerals, and with this we can conclude soil structure and clay mineral, that is the first unit of the second module. and we can proceed to the second unit of the second module. Next time now let us start the second the portion of the second module. It is compaction of soil. This term we already used in the first module. Though it is used first module, let us discuss in general about the compaction. We already discussed that it is there is no foundation without structure. Sorry, there is no structure without foundation, and no foundation without soil. There is interrelations between soil, foundation and structure. All foundations are resting on soil. All structures are resting on foundation. Compaction is the process. It is an important terminology which is applicable for civil engineers, civil engineering field, and more so both in wherever we come across materials, maybe a soil, maybe a concrete, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate. There repeatedly we use this term compaction. We already discussed in the index property of soil there in terms of the field density and relative density. The term density is nothing but how closely soils are packed. How closely soils are packed in its in situ condition in field. Maybe a general soil, and how closely coarse deposits are packed in its in situ condition, and they are expressed in terms of field density in general, in particular relative density. Suppose if the soils in the fields are not up to the required or expected density, we have to increase the density of both general soil and this coarse deposit. To increase the density or closeness of the particle, some physical activities are required. That physical activity is known as the compaction. In other words, bringing particles close with each other by means of mechanical efforts or by imparting mechanical efforts is known as compaction. The purpose or objectives of compaction is to increase the density of soil. Same is the case in case of concrete. You might be seen while concreting, it may be for a beam concreting, a column concreting, or a roof concreting, or any case, in case even in case of road construction. During concreting, there is a process called as compaction by means of poking rods. Earlier they used to do. nowadays they used to insert the needle by providing suitable vibration. The objective of poking or inserting needle in the form of vibration is to bring particles close to each other, that is the concretes. Bringing particle close with each other is to enhance the density. If we enhance the density of the concrete, automatically we can expect the desired strength of the concrete. Similarly, in case of soil also, natural soil or the disturbed soil can be bring close with each other. When we bring particles close with each other, automatically we increase the density. In other words, it is a unit weight. Once we increase the density, automatically we can able to increase the engineering properties. Engineering properties of soils are the objective of compaction is to increase density and in turn there is increase in engineering properties. Of soil or soils. Engineering properties we already discussed, again we will discuss now. The engineering properties are, of course, we treat these compaction characteristics are also engineering property. Other than this, permeability, number 2, compressibility, and number 3, shear strength. So, these engineering properties are more important for any given soil along with index properties. Permeability means the ability of soil to permit water to flow through it. For a good soil, there must be a moderate permeability. Permeability shall not be more and shall not be very less. There shall be a moderate permeability. That range of permeability required by good soil, but we will again discuss in the forthcoming module. Compressibility means the settlement of soil. As a result of this compressibility, there will be a settlement of soil. And shear strength means resistance against sliding. For a good soil, there must be a moderate permeability and there must be less settlement upon the application of load, and there must be more shear strength. Compacted soil will give rise the good engineering properties, namely there is a moderate permeability, there is less settlement, and there is more shear strength. I use the here moderate permeability means it is very difficult to avoid the movement of soil through soil, movement of water through soil. Hence, we can regulate the movement of water. That moderate means a moderate range of permeability is considered as the optimum permeability or the moderate permeability. Compressibility, again, it is not at all possible to reduce the movement of soil due to the applied load. So, there is a permissible limit like in case of permeability. So, with that we can avoid the what is called as differential settlement, in excess settlement, and keep the soil to settle within the permissible limit. And shear strength, there must be a maximum resistance offered by the soil against the load. So, the very objective of compaction is to enhance the engineering property. When once we increase the engineering properties, automatically there is increase in the strength of the soil. This is the case in all construction activity. There is no foundation without soil, and there is no structure without foundation. All structures are resting on soil, and that rested upon the foundation. When that is the case, it is very important to know about the compaction and their importance. Whatever the type of structure it is, it may be a simple residential building, or it may be a road structure, maybe a canal structure, a dam structure, whatever it is, a playground, airfield. Before taking up the construction activities, compaction is must, whether the construction activity take place in excavation or it may be in filling. So, with this let us conclude this class, and we will meet the next class for more explanation about the compaction.